Statistics lesson. I am Skhulile Ncube, and this lesson is proudly brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education. What are we doing today, grade 10s? We are looking at the measures of spread, or we can say the measures of dispersion. In the previous lesson, we looked at what? Do you remember? We looked at the measures of central tendency, and then we said that the measures of central tendency summarize the data set. Okay, they give us a picture about what? A given data set. But now, are the measures of central tendency enough to summarize the data set or to represent the data set? We'll find out in this lesson. We're bringing in a new thing now, which is called the measures of spread or the measures of dispersion. Right. So at the end of the lesson, you should be able to summarize data using the 5-number summary. We are going to look at the 5-number summary. It's very easy, easy marks. And then we're going to draw and interpret the box and whisker diagram. This is actually the 5-number summary, but now in the form of what? Of a diagram. And then we're going to analyze and make meaningful comments on the context associated with the given data. That's what we're going to do today. Let's be ready for our lesson, grade 10s. Make sure you have your books with you, you have your calculator, and let's be ready. And remember, let's engage each other during the lesson. Use the WhatsApp line 063-508-1301. Please, let's engage each other during the lesson. If there's any question, feel free. And then if you have any input, feel free. Or if you recognize that maybe I'll say we made a mistake there, let me know and then we discuss. Okay? Right, let's be ready for the lesson. Right, let's start. We've done statistics. Statistics, it's not the first time to do that, even from our lower grades. In the previous lesson, we did measures of central tendency. We've done the range also. Remember, mean, median, mode, measures of central tendency. And then on top of that, we've done the range in the previous grades. Let's do our baseline activity. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Right, we have question 1 and question 2. But for question 1, we have 1A, 1B, 1C, 1D. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Given the following data, what is the minimum value? What is the maximum value? Determine the median of the data set. Okay, it's not a new thing. We did this in the previous lesson. Median is a measure of central tendency. Okay, but we're going to use it a lot today also as when you're dealing with what measures of spread. And then determine the range. Let's do that in 5 minutes.
The road to success is to commit to yourself. In order for you to become who you want to become as a student, you need to commit to reading your books, to studying, to bettering yourself. I know it's not going to be easy. Actually, no one said it's going to be easy. But if you put in the work, the results will show in your life. Tap into your power. Sometimes you will feel like putting away your books, and not reading as much as you're supposed to be. But I want you to commit, because through commitment, there is infinite power.
Welcome back, greetings. Let's mark our work. What is the minimum value? This data set is already arranged from the smallest value to the largest value. So our minimum value is 1. That is very important. Okay, it's an easy thing to just see which one is the minimum value and which one is maximum value. We're going to use that when we talk about what? The 5-number summary. Okay, so the minimum value is 1 and the maximum value is 22. Always make sure that your numbers are arranged in an ascending order from the smallest to the largest. And then determine the median of the data set. How do we do that? Remember, we find the median position. We have a formula for finding the median position. The formula is n plus 1 divided by 2. Or you can even write it like this, is fine. Where n is the number of data items. We have 11 of them. So it's going to be 11 plus 1 divided by 2, which is 6. So it means the median is in the 6th position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it means 9 there is the median. That's the median because 9 is in the 6th position. Please remember, this formula gives you the median position, not the median. I've seen this a lot as a common mistake. So that's why I'm emphasizing it. The formula does not give you the median, but gives you the median position. And then after that, after getting the position, you must go back to your data set, which is arranged, and then get your median. Okay, right. And then the range. How do we find the range? Range from the smallest to the largest. We say the largest value minus the smallest value. So it's going to be 22 minus 1, which is 21. Okay, I really hope that you managed to make corrections as I was giving you the answers. Okay, it's fine, that's baseline. Remember, it's not the main thing for today's lesson, but just to introduce the lesson. Right, let's move on. I have question 2, and I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do it. Let's try question 2 in 3 minutes. Right, welcome back, grade 10s. Let's mark our work. Please make sure you make corrections as we discuss. Right, given the following data, how many items? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Determine the median. Now, after finding the median, says if the data given were the learner's marks out of 20, interpret the data using the median value. Okay, let's try to do this together. So how do we find the median? We're going to start by finding the median position. So we say 10 plus 1 divided by 2, which is 11 divided by 2, which is 5,5. That's position. Meaning that our median is between the 5th data item and the 6th data item. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's between 7 and 9. Sometimes you don't even need to calculate which number is between 7 and 9. It is 8. Do you see that? Okay, so we say 7 plus 9, which is 16. 16 divided by 2, we get 8. So the median is 8. Right, what is the meaning of this? Now, I want us to understand the sort of introducing the measures of spread. Now, if the data given were the learner's marks out of 20, interpret the data using the median value. So it means that 50% of the data set is below 8 out of 20. It means 50% of the learners got below 8 out of 20. So the median, what it does, it divides the data set into 2 equal parts. 50% below it, 50% above it. Okay, so it means 50% below the median and then 50% above the median. That's what it means. So now we can say 50% of the learners got marks below 8 out of 20 and 50% of the learners got marks above 8 out of 20. That's the meaning of the median. Median divides the data set into 2 equal parts. 50% below, 50% above. Okay, right. Now I want us to move on to the next part. We are going to start by going back to the measures of central tendency. Why are we doing that? We want to understand the measures of spread. Why is it important that we must have the measures of spread? How are they different from the measures of central tendency? So that's why I want to bring back the mean and the median, and then we compare these data sets using the mean and the median and see if they are different. Okay, right. The following diagrams show sections of end-of-year reports for Lerato and John. Right, we have the marks for Lerato, we have the marks for John. Right, we can use the measures of central tendency to see who performed better. We can use the mean and the median to see who performed better here between Lerato and John. But is that going to be enough? Let's find out. Right, let's start with the Lerato's. Right, calculate the mean for the 2 reports. The mean for Lerato is going to be by adding everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 subjects. And then dividing by 7. And then we get that the mean is 64%. I want you to just listen for this part. Please listen. Don't write anything. We have done the measures of central tendency, isn't it? So just listen here. And then I'm going to tell you when you may start writing. So we can see that the mean for Lerato is 64%. What picture do we have? We have these 7 subjects having the marks clustered around 64%. Let's check John. The mean for John, please listen, don't write anything. Okay, the mean for John again is 64%. But if we look at the marks for John and the marks for Lerato, did they perform the same way? Did they perform at the same level? Definitely their marks are not the same, but the mean is giving us a picture that these 2 learners performed the same way. Because the average for Lerato, the mean for Lerato is 64%, the mean for John is 64%. Let's check their medians and see. The median for Lerato, the marks are already arranged in an ascending order, so the median will be 65 there, okay? 65. The median is 65 for the position. Again, just listen. The median is 65% for Lerato. What's the median for John? The median for John, again, is 65%. You see that? So if we check the results of these two learners, the mean for John is 64%, the mean for Lerato is 64%, the median for John is 65%, the median for Lerato is 65%. So does that mean that these learners performed the same way? No, it doesn't mean that. So the measures of central tendency somehow have limitations. When you're interpreting data, we cannot use measures of central tendency only. We have to use also measures of spread. If we use measures of spread, we will see that these two learners performed differently. Okay? Right. Now, let's discuss. We have, this one is for John. Let me write John here. Where do I write John? Here, John. And then this one's for Lerato. Right. Where is the mean for John? 64%. Now, the minimum mark for John is, where is it? Should be 59. And then followed by 60. Then followed by 62. And then followed by 65. Before 65, there should be something. Oh, 65, I think so. And then we have 66. We have 67. We have 68. Okay, you see that? So these are all the marks for John. Let me have the marks for Lerato so that we can compare them. That's the mean for Lerato. We have the mean for Lerato. Again, is 64%. Let me write 64% here. Then I write 64% here. According to the mean, they perform the same way. Now let's look at the marks for Lerato. The minimum is 35. You see, that's where the minimum is. And then we have, after 35, we have 50, 55, and then we have 62, we have 65, we have 68, we have 75, and then we have 85. Now look at the distribution of these two marks, two sets of marks. Are they the same? No, they're not the same. For Lerato, the marks are widely spread out. And then for John, the marks are clustered around the measure of central tendency. So because of that, let me just erase the ink. Because of that, we'll say that John's data is better represented by measures of central tendency. The data is more clustered around the measures of central tendency. Do you see that? Lera's data, yes, is represented by the measure of central tendency, but for John, it's better. It's represented by a measure of central tendency better than Lerato's what? Marks. You see that? So showing that these marks are different. When you bring in the measure of central tendency, we can see that these marks are different. Okay, right, that's what I wanted you to see. Okay, now let's go now to the measures of central tendency, to the measures of spread. Calculate the range for the two sets of data. I want you to try that. I'm going to give you 1 minute. We did the range in our baseline activity, isn't it? So now you know how to find the range. Let's find the range for Lerato and the range for John in 1 minute. Let's try. Right, welcome back. Right, what did you get for the range? For the ratio, we say 85 minus 35, the largest value minus the smallest value, we get 50%. For John, 68 minus 59, we get 9%. Oh yes, 68 minus 59 is 9%. Okay, right, do you see the difference now? For Lerato, the range is 50%, and then for John, the range is 9%. Remember the previous diagram that we talked about? Let me just take you back there. Right, you see that? This is the John. The marks are clustered around the mean, and then the ratio, the marks are spread out, widely spread out. So now we are saying that the range for the ratio is 50%, far much bigger than the range for John. So remember these great terms. If the value of dispersion, like in this case, the range is the value of dispersion, data items are, if the value of dispersion is large, data items are widely spread around the measures of central tendency. Just like Lerato's marks, the range is 50%, meaning that the marks are widely spread out. There's a mark which is very low, and there's a mark which is very high. But if we check John's range, which is 9%, so if the value of dispersion is small, data items are closely spread around the measures of central tendency, just like we saw the marks for John being clustered around the mean there. Okay, do you remember that? Okay, so that's the meaning of the range. The bigger range means the data is widely spread out. The smaller range means the data is closely packed around the measure of central tendency. Okay, right. I want us to discuss the quartiles. We have talked about the median. We said that the median will divide the data set into two equal parts. 50% below it, 50% above it. Now we have other things called quartiles. Let's write it down, quartiles. What do they do? Even the name itself will guide you. A quarter is what? It's what? How many parts? You're dividing a whole thing into 4 equal parts. You see that? Those are the quarters. If you divide something into 4 equal parts, you're getting quarters. So quartiles divide data set into 4 equal parts. Please write that one down. Quartiles divide a data set into 4 equal parts. Quartiles divide a data set into 4 equal parts. There are 3 quartiles. We have Q1. Please, if I say Q1, know that I'm talking about what? The lower quartile. If I'm saying lower quartile, I'm talking about Q1. So I'll be using these interchangeably. Q1, lower quartile, Q1. Q2, we have dealt with the median. We know this. Q2 is the median. Median is Q2. Okay? And then Q3, the upper quartile. The upper quartile is Q3. Q3 is the upper quartile. Please write. Let me give you 1 minute to write your short notes. All right, welcome back. Let's discuss more about these quartiles. Okay, before we look at how we find the quartiles, let's just discuss about the meaning of these quartiles. Right, we have the data set, we have our median Q2. Remember, median is Q2. Don't forget that. Okay, so we say that the median divides the data set into two equal parts, 50% below it and 50% above it. Okay, so you're saying that 50% of the data is below the median and 50% of the data is above the median. We have done this, so it's repetition. Let's leave it. Let's go to the new quarters that we just introduced, the lower quartile and the upper quartile. So when you divide the data set into 4 equal parts, you'll have something like this. The whole blue rectangle represents your data set from the minimum value to the maximum value. And then now this data set is divided into 4 equal parts. This is the first part, the second part, the third part, and the fourth part. You see? So now, between the minimum value and Q1 is lower quartile. Remember I said that Q1 is lower quartile. Between the minimum value and lower quartile, we have 25% of the data set. Between Q1 and Q2, lower quartile and median, we have 25% of the data set. Between Q2 and Q3, we have 25% of the data set. And then between Q3, which is the upper quartile, and the maximum value, we have 25% of the data set. If I may ask, how many percent do we have between Q1 and Q3? How many percent do we have between Q1 and Q3? Q1 and Q3. It's going to be 50%, because it's from Q1 to Q3. We have 25 plus 25 there, which is 50%. Please don't forget that. I'm going to ask you this question again when we get to the next part of our lesson. Between Q1 and Q3, that's 50%. We have a special name for that. We'll talk about it later. Right? And then now, dash percent of the data set is below Q1. Please, I want you to give this lesson verbally. Don't write it, just say it in class there. How many percent of the data set is below Q1, below lower quartile? Is 25%. That is 25%. Okay, this is the 25%. Right, how many percent of the data set is above Q1? It's above the lower quartile. How many percent is above the lower quartile? All this data set is above the lower quartile, is above Q1. It means 75%. So lower quartile means 25% below it and 75% above it. Right? And then let's go to Q3. We've talked about the median, 50 below, 50 above. Let's go to Q3. How many percent of the data set is below Q3? Below Q3. This is Q3. So this data set, all this is below Q3. So how many percent? 75% is below Q3. And then how many percent above Q3, the upper quartile? Above the upper quartile? Only 25%. So upper quartile means 75% below it and 25% above it. Let's say if I say your mark is the upper quartile, it means 75% of your colleagues got a mark below your mark and 25% of your colleagues got a mark above your mark. You see that? Okay, right. And then now, this is how we find the lower quartile position. Remember, for the median position, we said n plus 1 divided by 2. But the lower quartile position, we say n plus 1. You can write like this, n plus 1 divided by 4. Still okay. And then also this, you can say 3 times n plus 1 divided by 4. This gives you the position of the lower quartile. This gives you the position of the upper quartile. Please 1 minute to write your short notes. Right, welcome back. I hope you have managed to write your notes. Now, using the reports for Lerato and John, going back to Lerato and John, for each of the following, determine the minimum value, the maximum value, the median, lower quartile, and upper quartile. I'm going to show you using Lerato's marks, and then after that, I'll ask you to do for John, isn't it? Okay, right, let's do for Lerato. Right, what is the minimum value? We can see our data set is already arranged in an ascending order. The minimum value is 35%. Okay, please write it down. Minimum value is 35%. And then what is the maximum value? The maximum value is 85%. The maximum value is 85%. Please write it down. Right, how do we find the median? How do we find the median? We have to find the median position. Remember, n plus 1 divided by 2. Remember, we did this also in the previous activities. We know that our median is going to be 65. We did that. So it's n plus 1 divided by 2, meaning that is fourth position, and then fourth position is 65. So the median is 65%. So these three is easy to get because we've done them before. But now let's look at the lower quartile. So the lower quartile said our formula is 1 over 4 or n plus 1 divided by 4 like this, or 1 over 4 times n plus 1, and then our n is 7, so it becomes 1 over 4 times 8. We get the second position. So the second position, where is it? 1, 2. This means that 55% is our Q1. This is our Q2. And then what is our Q3? You wrote your notes there. I said, how do we find Q3? We say 3 times n plus 1 divided by 4. 3 times n plus 1 divided by 4, we get our Q3, which is 75%. This is Q3. Okay? Right. It's easy, isn't it? Now, I want you to try to do these 5. You see, we're talking about 5 now. Remember what you want to say what in our objectives. We're going to learn about the 5 number summary. This is the 5 number summary. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you talk about the 5 number summary, talk about the minimum value, the maximum value, the median, lower quartile, and upper quartile. If we arrange them, we want to put them in that order. We'll say minimum. From minimum, you go to lower quartile. From lower quartile, you go to median. From median, you go to upper quartile. And then from upper quartile, you go to the maximum. Okay? Right. Let's do John's 5 number summary. Okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. 5 minutes for John. We are doing for John 5 minutes. Welcome back, Cretans. Let's do this together. So the minimum for John is 59%. The maximum is 68%. And then the median, we did the median is 65%. Okay, let me just change the color of my pen. Okay, right. And then the lower quartile is going to be 7 plus 1 divided by 4. The second position, which is 60%. So the lower quartile is 60%. And then the upper quartile, which is 7 plus 1 times 3 divided by 4. 7 plus 1 times 3 divided by 4. We get that it is the sixth position. The sixth position is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or is this one? 67%. So that's how we find the lower quartile and the upper quartile. Okay? Right. Now, what did I say these numbers are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We say they are what? The 5-number summary. The 5-number summary. Don't forget that. Now, the next part, we want to bring in the box and whisker now. Nothing difficult about it. Nothing. It's just the 5-number summary. Now, represented using a diagram. The name itself, sorry, there's the name itself. The name itself, box and whisker. It's guiding you. We have a box and whiskers. Okay? The 5-number summary can be analyzed graphically using a box and whisker. The 5-number summary can be analyzed graphically using a box and whisker. What 5-number summary are we talking about? The minimum value, the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile, and the maximum value. Right, these 5 can be represented using a box and whisker. Let's discuss that. So I have the box and whisker. Let me give you 2 minutes to draw this box and whisker. 2 minutes. Try. 2 minutes. All right, welcome back, Cretans. I really hope that you managed to also draw the scale. A box and whisker without a scale is meaningless. Okay, it is meaningless. The scale must be there. Right, we have the whiskers. The whiskers are these lines that come out of the box there. Okay, so we have this point here. the whisker, the end of the whisker there, that's where the minimum value is. Please write minimum value, and show the arrow going to this. This means that's where the minimum value is. So from the scale there, we can see that the minimum value is 3. Okay, from the scale we can see that the minimum value is 3. And then from the minimum value, where do we go to? We go to the lower quartile. Let me see what I started with, but I just started with the maximum. Okay, right. But this one with lower quartile, let's deal with the maximum first. I'll say minimum value, maximum value, median. Then we end with what we ended with. Remember, we ended with the lower quartile and the upper quartile. We already know the minimum value, maximum value, and the median. Okay, but the maximum value is at the end here. The maximum value is at the end then, so we can read from the scale there that is 21. So the maximum value is 21. If I may ask, what will be the range of this data set? Just from these two, the minimum value and the maximum value. You can easily find the range. So meaning that you can find the range from what? From the box and whisker. You just say 21 minus 3. You get your 18. So the range is 18. Right, and then we have this line which is in the box. This line in the box represents our median Q2. Please write that. Median Q2. We just write Q2 is enough. You know Q2 is the median. So meaning that our median is 12. Okay? 50% below 12, 50% above 12. That's the median. And then now, 2 more items, which is the lower quartile. What is lower quartile? Q1 there, that's 6. You can just write Q1. Q1, and our lower quartile is 6. From the scale, we can read that. The lower quartile is 6. And then we have the upper quartile. We can read from the scale, our upper quartile is 16. Right. And then what is the difference between Q1 and Q3? What is the difference between Q1 and Q3? We say 16 minus 6, which is 10. That is called the interquartile range. Remember I said we're going to talk about this one before. I said the interquartile range. And then remember we have 25% of the data set here, and then 25% of the data set there, 25% of the data set there, 25% of the data set there. So the interquartile range represents 50% of the data set. The gap between Q1 and Q3 represents 50% of the data set. Okay? Right. Let me just give you 1 minute to make your short notes, and then we move on. Welcome back, Cretans. Right, now let's look at this situation here. Busi is in the same grade with Lerato and John. Busi's 5-number summary is as follows. So now here we have the 5-number summary. Okay, we're not going to calculate it. I just want us to sketch the box and whisker. Okay, and then after sketching the box and whisker, we'll just take a short break and then come back and copy our homework, then we'll be done. Right, the 5-number summary for Busi is like this. We have the minimum value, which is 20. We have the lower quartile, which is 35. We have the median, which is 52. We have the upper quartile, which is 60. And then we have the maximum value, which is 80. Okay, right. I want you to try. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and then after 2 minutes, I'll do the sketching. Right, this is the 5-number summary for Busi. So I want you to try to draw the box and whisker for Busi in 2 minutes. Let's try. Right, welcome back. Now let's do the sketching. If you did not finish, it's fine. Please just continue. Right, the minimum value is 20, so we have our minimum value there, 20. The lower quartile is 35, so we have our lower quartile there, 35. The median is 52, we have our median there, 52. The upper quartile is 60, so we have 60 there. And then we have the maximum value. And then we can draw our box from the lower quartile to the upper quartile. That's the box there. And then we can add our whiskers. That's our box and whisker. Okay, right. And then we have our minimum. We have our lower quartile. We have our median. We have our upper quartile. And then we have our maximum. Okay. 1 minute to just finish off the box and whisker diagram, and then after that we'll continue. I'll tell you what to do. 1 minute.
The road to success, to becoming a successful student, is through commitment. Commitment to studying, commitment to putting in the extra hours in your books. I know it's not going to be easy. Actually, no one said it will be easy. But if you keep pushing and if you keep believing a little more in yourself, then the results will show in your life. Commit and become.
Welcome back, return. This is our homework. Let me give you just 1 minute. You can take a picture, you can copy the homework, And then after 1 minute, we're going to summarize our lesson. 1 minute. Welcome back, grade 10th. Let's summarize our lesson. The range is the difference between the largest value and the smallest value. Quartiles divide the data set into 4 equal parts. The interquartile range is the difference between the upper and lower quartiles. And the semi-interquartile range, we didn't talk about the semi-interquartile range, but listen, the semi-interquartile range is half of the interquartile range. So you find your interquartile range and then divide by 2. Right, thank you very much, grade 10s. We are going to meet next term. Let's meet next term and enjoy the rest of your day and also enjoy the holidays. Thank you very much.